An introduction to the path of purification. First of all, what is it that we are trying to purify? And why do we want to do it? What's the result? What are we aiming for? If you want to do something, we must have a purpose. And the result is something that we desire. We do not want to go to the end of the path and find out this is not what I want. So we have to start from the end, if you like. Whether the thing we are looking for or the result we are looking for is worth having it all. Before I start, I want to lay down the basics, understanding or basic view that we should have. It's all right, to come up with a theory about something, go on, and then finish in the end. This is what it is, But what's the reality, of a theory? Is it practical? Is it something that can be achieved? Is it something that is humanly possible? Right? So we have to start with the Buddha, we have to understand what a Buddha is, I'm talking, if you like, to a Western civilization, a Western conditioning. Western conditioning is different from an Eastern or Asian conditioning. And in the Western conditioning, you're always told that there is only this life. After this, you either go to heaven, hell, or purgatory. That's the end of it. And that's the conditioning. You can't go beyond this view that there is probably a past life. And if there is probably a past life, there definitely is a future life. In the Asian countries, our conditioning is different, Every time you hear people, says this person when he's died, is going to become an animal, he's going to become a dog, or it's going to become a ghost, or this person, where does he come from? He probably just came up from hell, or he came down from heaven, So this belief of a past life and a future life is our conditioning, Asian conditioning, So the Buddha is a result of many eons of truth. Buddha doesn't happen by accident. Buddha is a result of many eons of training. So when you come to know about Buddhism, this is the fundamental view that we have to assimilate. Right? That there is a past life, there will be a future life, right? And not only that, we can't get out from being reborn again and again and again. That is the basic view right? Even though if you go to heaven, there is a lifetime. And when that lifetime expires, you are reborn again. And where you are reborn depends not on any external practice, but depend on your karmic actions, things that you have done. There is a moral law and a result from that moral law. There is a tendency which we have, which will continue with us, stay with us, within our heart, in the next life. So that's the first thing, that we are a result of our past actions, the things we do, whether we can meditate today, this lifetime, also depends on what we've done in the previous life as well. So that's a fundamental belief that we have to have, that there is a continual rebirth. And the second thing is that we are all not born equal. See, that's the Western idea. We're born equal. We are not born equal because in the Buddhist tradition, we are born as a result from our previous karma. So our previous karma is definitely different from others, right? So there's no equality. You can say, well, we can provide people with equal opportunities. It's true, we should provide people with equal opportunities. But then again, it depends on the karma, whether they can receive these opportunities, whether they can reach out to these opportunities, whether they see it as opportunities as well. So right now, it's just like opportunity to listen to them, opportunities to practice meditation, opportunities to get enlightened, right? So it all depends on the previous karma, what you've done. And what is it that determines whether we can pick up these opportunities, available to us in this lifetime? Opportunities to get enlightened. Before that, what is the end result? Right. The end result of the practice is firstly to attain the Four Noble States, right, of a human being. That means you become, at the first stage, what do you call a stream enter? Second stage, you call once returner. Third stage, another returner. And the fourth stage, an arahant. There's no other description for it. These are all stages of sainthood, if you like, using the Western terminology. So what do we mean by saint? You can say in the Western idea, when we say a saint is somebody who is pure. So in this case, all these different sainthood, they have some kind of purity. So the first stream ender has purified of this view of a self. And the second stage of the sainthood is purified. It doesn't have lust and hate. And third stage of sainthood is further purification. And then you have the arahant, who is totally purified. And what is it about the Arahant that's so important, valuable, or interesting? Well, the simplest thing is that an Arahant is somebody who is harmless. Right? They are harmless. They are harmless because they have got rid of greed, which hatred, and delusion. Those three things. Those are the three things in a human being or in any being that causes harm. Because of greed, we do things wrong. Because of hate, we hurt somebody else. And because of delusion, we do things that we're not supposed to do. Right? So that's the basic thing, a totally harmless person. So whatever else that he has comes from his insight, comes from his wisdom. Right? But the most basic thing is the totally harmless. And from the Buddhist point of view, when a person becomes an Arahant, that is his last rebirth. He is no longer reborn as a being, whether it's a hell being, a human being, or a heavenly being. Right? So where does it go when it's not reborn? And that's the question, that we can't answer that. Whatever the answer that somebody gives us, it's just a conjecture. Now, talking about opportunities to be able to practice, we should have cultivate 10 of the basic excellences or perfections, because those are the qualities, the basic qualities that we need in order to be able to start on the path. There are many reasons. When our mind is thick with defilement, defilement is something that corrupts the mind. There's no way we can see that there is a path, that what is useful for us. So these 10 excellences, or in Pali it's called Pahang, I'll explain quickly what they are, why they are necessary. We can always, see that there is people from Asia and there's people from the West, and then they have a different set of mind, So I'm going to say Western mind and an Eastern mind. Doesn't matter. You can be a Western mind having a Western person having an Eastern mind. You can be an Eastern person having Western mind. So I'll start with the Western mind. With the Western mind, the first parami or excellence that they have is truthfulness. Truthfulness is such a that's the basic thing that we have to have. When we have truthfulness, then we can develop wisdom or insight. That's the first thing. When we do not have any truthfulness, we say, not my problem, it's somebody else's fault. We don't get to see the truth of things. So we can't start. You see? So this truthfulness is something very important. Right? If we keep lying to ourselves, I'm okay, I'm all right, things are going well. You know, so we're not looking at the problem. So we have to start, you know, with seeing the problem. What's the problem? The problem is there is suffering. Right? We don't see suffering because we always turn away. As soon as suffering arises, we turn away to something else. We don't like to face suffering. In this modern age, we have many avenues. Now, every 5-year-old, 8-year-old have a mobile phone. As soon as they're not happy, they pick up their mobile phone. They don't know suffering. First noble truth, that there is suffering. If we don't see the first noble truth, we cannot go to the second noble truth. That is, what is the cause of suffering? We are here to solve problems. Whose problems? Nobody else's problems. Our own problem. We're not interested in other people's problem. That's their business. Our problem. But if we don't start with this truth of recognizing suffering, then we have not entered the path forward. We are living in delusion, moving from one thing to another. It's like moving from one life to another life because we have not taken up the teaching. We have not taken up the wisdom. We have not taken up what the Buddha teaches us. Right? So we have to start from these truthfulness. When we have this truth, then we have wisdom. When we have wisdom, then we have this insight to know what is necessary in life, what is not necessary. Then we can let go of things that is a waste of time, you know. Right? So we have more time to do what's important. Right? Practice meditation. Right? Looking at ourselves, looking what arises in us, looking at our intention, seeing whether we are a harmful person or a harmless person, whether we are doing harm to others or doing harm to ourselves. Right? Then we can cultivate the patience. From the Eastern side, Eastern mind, we start with generosity. Dharma. That's important. What's so important about generosity? Generosity overcomes greed. Greed is the cause of many problems. You want this, you want that, you know, and that causes you a lot of problems. You fight because you are fighting for something. Greed also, you want to have your way as well. Right? So by practicing this generosity, right, we do not clash with other people. You know, whether it's views or not, we are generous. We let them have their way. It doesn't make much difference. When it doesn't make much difference, we let them have their way. Right? We don't have to hold on to it. And then suffer and say, you know, today I can't get my way. You know, next time I'll try harder and get my way. Causing more suffering. And then start thinking of ways of getting your way. Be generous. It's not important offer. When you offer somebody that the other person is happy, they see you as a good person. Right? Maybe next time they'll let you have your way, right? Because they're happy with you. So from generosity, we have a more ethical life. We don't do things because of greed. Specifically, we don't do things wrong because of greed. Because our greed has lessened. Right? So when we keep our ethics well, then we get happiness. We don't feel remorse. We don't feel guilty because we've done something wrong out of greed. Right? So when we have this happiness from non-remorse, then we have we then have the effort to do what is right. Pursue with this effort, continuous effort in a particular direction, then it becomes a determination. So when we develop dharma, generosity, we also develop the quality of goodwill to other people. When we develop the qualities of truthfulness and wisdom and letting go, we develop this quality of equanimity, which is important. Right? We can be equanimous because we see the truth of things. Right? We see that we have our conditioning and our faults. Other people also have their conditionings and their faults. In a way, we are equally suffering. So we can have compassion for everybody and become equanimous. When somebody does something wrong, or when somebody does something good, same thing. It's equanimity. So these are the basic foundation that we have. Of course, this 10 perfection, the 10 paramis, we continue to develop. And the way to develop this is to develop the parami, the excellences or the perfections that we are waking. We have to work on that because that particular parami or lack of parami is going to lead us to this downfall. Right? So when we practice and develop this parami, we look at our worst parami, our worst acts, worst paramis, and then we could develop that. Now I'm not going to assume that you all have a good parami, or else you won't be here listening to the Dhamma talk. So your parami is fulfilled up to this stage. And we got to go to the next stage. What's the next stage? The next stage is understanding what the Buddha taught, or the teaching of the Buddha. It is not one big theory about something, the Buddha doesn't do that, he's not a philosopher. People call him a philosopher, but he's a practical person. He practices and then investigates, he finds out, and then he teaches. Right? Yeah. So what he taught or what he teaches is something not out of this world, something we know, something that we possess, something that we can come to know But it's just that we are not observant enough, or we do not pay right attention to it. Right. Now, before I continue with this, I have to say that in this world there are two kinds of truth. See, in a spiritual practice or in any religious practice, we are talking about truth, right? And there are two kinds of truth. One we call conventional truth. Conventional truth is you drive on the left side of the road. In certain countries, you drive on the right side of the road. In certain countries, that's the conventional truth. It's by convention we adopt this truth. That's all that is there. There is no right or wrong. So if you drive on the left side in the country, you drive on the left side, you are in the right. You drive on the other side, you are in the wrong. Simple as that. Right? There is a convention of doing things. So it's the same thing when you're in Asia, you leave your outdoor shoes outside. You don't walk in with your outdoor shoes. That's just a convention. So those all pertains to the conventional truth. And what the Buddha teaches is the absolute truth. Absolute inverted commas, absolute truth. This absolute truth is about the truth of ending suffering. Right? Nothing else. The Buddha is not talking about the absolute truth about the world. I'm talking about the natural world, right? I'm not talking about the absolute truth like you talk about, like the truth in physics, the truth in biology, the truth in chemistry, and so on. But this is a truth to lead us to suffering, to lead us towards the end of suffering, towards the eradication of suffering. So the Buddha starts with something very simple. It starts with the mind. And it also starts with the heart. So what is the mind? We come to know that the mind is something that is deceived in their thinking. There is a mind that thinks. And then there is also the heart that feels. Okay, those are the two things that we know. Because we think we have a mind. Because we feel we have a heart. As simple truth. Right? And these two makes up what we call a consciousness, our consciousness. Right? We are conscious, we are here. You're conscious, you're listening to me. You're conscious, you're living, you're eating, whatever you're doing. You know that's consciousness. Right? You know when you're thinking, you know what your thoughts are. You know what you're saying, hopefully. Whether it's right or not. So the Buddha teaches, that we have these thoughts. These thoughts called samkhara in Pali. And these thoughts become our views. Right? And it becomes our beliefs as well. So that's samkhara. That's the first thing. In this world, there is thoughts and views. We have thoughts, we have views, and we have beliefs. Something Like we have a heart, we feel. Good feeling, bad feelings. Vedana. That's the second aggregate. The Buddha calls the aggregate khandhas, one of the 5 khandhas. So that's the second khandha. Right? But the third one is, you're listening. You're listening. That's vijnana. That's the consciousness. Right? That's our consciousness. That's the third thing that we possess. Right? We have a body, Of course, we know, we feel pain in our body, we feel pleasure in our body, We try to keep our body safe, right? And in good condition. We have a body. That's the third thing. The fourth thing, a rupa, body. And we also know that there are material forms also. So the Buddha is talking something that we know, so we can work with it. And the other thing is, you may not quite know, is called sanya perception. What I translated as mental identity. It's difficult to perceive, but you've seen it before. When you are in your dreams, when you're dreaming, you have this world, you have these people in your dreams. And those are the perceptions that you have created. That leads which is inside you. You're just not aware of it. When you start fantasizing, you're playing this mental identity, these perceptions, right? When you come to see something which you do not know, you start building this mental identity, right? You're not sure, but that's actually what you do. Sometimes you find that, you talk to somebody, maybe on the internet, then you might start making out, this is what the person is like. Just, chatting with the person without listening to your voice. And then, say, for example, you come and meet this person, you find, oh, this person has a voice that's different. I thought he has this kind of voice. Or this person looks differently. I thought you'd be good looking, or you'd be tall, or you'd be handsome, or something like that. But he's short, he's fat, So what has happened is that as soon as you get to know something, you start building something within you. And then you start projecting it, that this is this person. And then when it comes to see this person, it's different because you have your own perception. Just from listening, just from checking, just from anything we have. Like when you read a brochure about going on a holiday, you start making up, what it's going to be like. And then when you go there, you get excited or you get disappointed. Because you already created a perception what the hotel is like, what the pool is going to be like, what the garden is going to be like. It's very natural. That's one of the faculties of our mind that we create perception. Huh? As soon as we hear the sound, we try to fit whatever perceptions that we have with the sound to know whether it's dangerous, to know whether it's pleasing. So the Buddha teaches us about these 5 aggregates that we possess. Each of us is attached to one of these or more of these aggregates. Bodybuilder, well, most important than is the body. Or women, beauty, I suppose you can say actresses, models, their body comes first. Doesn't matter about their character. You're not interested in their own character. They're not interested in their personality. They're interested in how they look. Right? If you tell them, they have bad character, they don't mind. But you tell them they don't look nice, they will be very angry. Right? Their body is the most important. So they don't mind you telling them how badly they behave. but they don't like you distributing, any pictures that doesn't look nice of them. They're obsessed with that. They're attached to the body. And then there will be people who are attached to feeling. You can't say musicians, they're attached to feeling. So they create music, for you to feel any particular way. Right? And artists, visual artists, more interested in perception. They try to create something beautiful, visually beautiful. Damien has, whether it's beautiful or not, but he has a presentation of visual art. Whether you like it or not, that's a different thing. It's all about visual. And then you have philosophers who are interested in ideas. You can say mathematicians as well. You can say physicists as well. The model of the universe. The philosophers. They're interested in ideas. What's the next theory of everything, or theory of the universe? That's attached to them. Doesn't matter whether they eat or not important. Doesn't matter whether they wash themselves or not important. They're interested in just the ideas. You can criticize anything about them, but not their ideas. They are attached to their ideas. And the last one is people who are attached to the consciousness. People who will do anything, to get high. Whether it's meditation, taking drugs or whatever, drinks or whatever, get an altered state, practice different things, because they are attached to consciousness. So what the Buddhas tell us is something simple. Don't get attached to any one of these five attributes. Right? Because when you attach to it, you become a different person. When you attach to it, you fear losing. Right? You're always constantly living in fear. When you hold on to any of these things. The worst thing is these things don't last at all. They changes due to circumstances. They changes with time. We are going to be pretty disappointed. You see a lot of the celebrities when they reach old age. They go suddenly they go wrong. Why? Because they can't have what they have been holding on to for many, many years. They fall into depression. Footballers, actors, actresses, all this people. That's the best time in their life. So attached. And when years later, they find very difficult, to let go of this attachment. So suffering comes. So what the Buddha teaches us is to see these things that they do not last. They do not last. And these things, when we hold on to it, we are going to suffer. There's no question about it. Every parent knows when their children leaves home, there is suffering. Whether they, whether they know how to change their underwear or not, whether they wash their clothes or not, who they're going to meet, the future husband or wife. That's the worry of the parents. Right? They're attached to the children. Well, the teacher teaches something very simple, something which he sees and investigates when he was trying to find a solution to this suffering, to find the end of this suffering that we all have. What is this suffering? Old age is suffering, disease is suffering, death is suffering, not getting what you want is suffering. Getting what you don't want is also suffering. You know. Maybe. But he says that the first thing is craving is the cause of suffering. Craving for something. When we crave for something, our mind is preoccupied with that thing. Right? And we do everything, spend our time trying to get that. Whether it's a job, whether it's a person, or whether it's a thing, or whether it's a better way of life. Craving for that. So the Buddha will explain, that these sort of things, all these things that we are running after, they actually don't have any essence in it. Things are just rupa, material form. But what we have done is we create a mental identity of what this thing is about. We create a mental identity of the other person. We create a mental identity of what this job will be like. We create a mental identity of how our life will be like when we have this job or when we have this position. And what are they? All these things are all made up. That's what anatta is. All these things are empty of any essence. Everything that we attribute to a particular thing, particular person, particular way of life, particular job, is something that we create within ourselves. We create a story of it. Everybody creates a different story, right? So we are enamored with these stories that we have created, and we trap ourselves in it. We suffer because of these stories that we have created and believed. Every one of us creates a story, different story. Some delusional, they create a good story. Some delusional also create bad stories. So it's all either good stories or bad stories. Good stories about others, bad stories about others. Good and bad stories about ourselves. Good stories about a particular thing, particular holiday, particular position. Bad stories, but all these are stories that we created through our perception, through our thinking, and we build this thing up. So this world we live in, this world, in fact, is our own story, our own personal world which we build. Table is just a table. chair is just a chair. Right? But we build stories on, oh, this is different. You know, this table is different. You know, it's 200 years old, it's going to break apart, you know, but it is still an antique, you know. Valuable. You know. That's a story. It's 200-year-old, you know, table, you know, full of holes, you know, termite holes, but still good, valuable, one of its kind. But that's a story. So you want to know that everything that you can come to know, everything is created by your own story. Yeah, of course, people give you all this information. People help you to make these stories, you know, about this person, that person, even about yourself. Yeah, you create stories about your own self, and then you suffer. Yeah? People, the Buddha says we are not wise. You know? We are not wise. We create suffering for ourselves. We create this world and we suffer in it. One of the things the Buddhas can show you the way is to undo all these things. Buddha cannot undo it for you. If the Buddha can undo it for you, he will do it. That's great compassion. But unfortunately, you keep on making up these stories to suffer. Buddha cannot help you. The Buddha can help you. He says, stop making these stories. Stop frightening yourself. Say everything is not sure. Right? Because it's created by me. With my head, with my greed, with my delusion. That's it. Our greed, hate, and delusion create this frightening world. And we can't let go of this world. We want to get reborn again. Because we're attached to this feeling. What it is, I'm attached to the body. Going back, attached to the feeling of this music, attached to this perception, attached to this idea. You want to be born as a physicist again, you know, or a philosopher again. Attached to this consciousness. Get reborn again. You know? So if we can see that this aggregate of the rupa, it's just molecules, atoms, that's about it. This feeling is something that arises and passes away because there's something that we created. This perception is something we create. The thoughts and views that we have is something we created and then assimilated. Too many years of reading, listening to one particular subject, we create that. This consciousness arises, changes depending on situation. And many of you who have practiced meditation will know that your consciousness changes practically every second, you know, every millisecond. You know? So these things changes. These things are nothing but our mental identity created. These things don't have any essence. They're not real. They are real in the sense that they are just material form, feelings, perceptions. They are all real. Right? Perceptions are real. Views, thoughts, they are real. It's something we create. Consciousness is something we have. But we don't have to hold on to them because they arises and passes away. Past feelings is no longer there. But because of our memories, we keep memories. This past feelings arises again and again and again. Right? Future feeling past arises because we create the future. Right? So when we come to know feeling, we want to know that these are just feelings, the result of our conditioning. They arises and they passes away. Whether it's good feeling, whether it's bad feeling. It's a result of what we have created in the past. So we have to see these three characteristics so that we are able to let go. So we don't hold on to it. I say let go is because we have already hold on to this thing. We do not know that we are already attached to this thing. We only come to know when these things are missing. Are you happy, you know, because you got everything? You're happy because you're comfortable. And one of these things are missing, you know, you can't find your mobile phone, you can't find your keys, you know. Then it's great suffering. You must have your key with you, you must have your mobile phone with you, or must have your makeup with you, or must have your sugar with you, must have your first cup of coffee, you know, must have your pillow when you go to bed. All these things, little things you're attached to, you do not know. You only come to know, you know, when they are missing. You know, when we practice, you know, we are working, if you like, we are working in this area, right? And the first thing to know is that we do not import other ideas into our contemplation. I'll give you an example. You know, in any discipline, you know, in chemistry, you know, when you do chemistry, you have to analyze things and discover more things. You know, you don't say what happens if I add Coca-Cola to this sulfuric acid. You know, you cannot do that. You know, you can say, okay, I can add, you know, a benzene to sulfuric acid or any chemicals to it, but Coca-Cola is not a chemical. You don't do that. Or you say, what happens if I add lime juice, you know, to sodium chloride, you know? That's it. So you're not working in that discipline. So you have to use, you know, everything that's chemically identified in chemistry. I'm just giving you an example. So here, when we are contemplating, right, when we are contemplating, we use the structure, the definitions that's given by the Buddha, right? In Buddhism, right? We don't add in subconsciousness, you know. Unless you say subconsciousness is bhavanga, then that's different. That's bhavanga, not subconsciousness. We don't import anything from philosophy or anything from psychology, no matter how good they are, right? Because it is not defined, like Coca-Cola is not defined within chemistry, within the structures of chemistry. So whatever else that's outside in philosophy or psychology is not defined, properly defined within the structures of what the Buddha taught. Everything that we need to investigate, the Buddha has taught us. So, what is the cause of suffering? The Buddha teaches us there is a cause of suffering. Depending on feelings, suffering arises. Depending on suffering, there is clinging, with this continuous craving for it. Depending on this continuous craving, which is clinging or attachment, there is becoming. Right? So this thing you want to investigate that. Right? Okay. And what's the cause of feeling? That is because of contact with the mental identity of a particular sense object. That sense object could be visual object, you know. It could be a double chocolate muffin, you know. That's for that's Pante's double chocolate muffin. Or it could be, you know, a piece of music. Or it could be the irritating sound of a dog barking. Right? So there's contact with mental identity. The feeling arises. Depending on feeling, craving arises. That's dependent origination. This is what the Buddha taught us. He didn't say, I feel, I crave, you know, he doesn't say that. In the West, you know, we say that. In our conventional reality, we say that. But the actual process is dependent on origination. And that's something you have to see every day. When you see, when you crave for something, I've got to say, oh, I got this feeling of lying, you know. When you hate something, I got this feeling of this line. Then you got to find out this mental identity you create for this line. This mental identity that you create for this line. We all like bodies. You may not like our own bodies, but we like somebody else's body. You may like our own body as well. So the Buddha teaches us, you know, what is this body? If you really investigate it, you know, it can be broken down into these 32 parts, which are not really beautiful. They are ugly and smelly, you know. But you don't want to know about it. This is something we have to investigate. These are real things, you know. You don't want to hear about it when we talk about the body. What has the body had? Hair of the head, you know. Teeth, nail, skin. Hair of the body. They are all disgusting parts, you know. They're never clean, you know. At any one time, you know. After one day, it's dirty. Where does the dirt come from? Not from outside, from inside us. Right? So just imagine how dirty, you know. You just have to go to the bathroom and do a poo, then you know how foul, you know, the smell is, you know. And it's not the thing. The bathroom is clean, you know. You clean it every day, you know. Who does this, you know? Who does this? Where did it come from? Inside the body. So if you love somebody's body, you must love their body inside and outside as well. You know? But what the real thing is, you love somebody's perception. That's not your perception. Or you create a perception of the body. And you see, you know, pictures, you know, they all, you know, they count all these ugly marks on the body posted. You know. And nowadays you can do it on the internet as well. You know. Perception. So the part of seeing dependent origination is very important, because this process of seeing dependent origination happening every second will break our idea of a self or of a intrinsic self in anything outside and inside. If we know dependent origination, if we believe and see it clearly, we can cure ourselves of any suffering. If you go to a psychologist and he tries to cure you through a view of self, you will never be cured. Because a view of self is just a view you create. Psychologists can make you change your view of self. Change you to have a better view of self, of yourself, or of others. That is also, he is stuck with that, a view of self. But the Buddha teaches us self is just a view. Don't believe in it. You create it yourself. It's not worth anything. It causes you suffering, that's about it. Or it costs you the delusion. You have an ego too. Everything is dependently originated. So when you see everything is dependently originated, you know the cause. Once you know the cause, you can stop the effect. Then you can stop the process of dependent origination through mindfully stopping at any point of this dependently originated phenomenon. You can stop at clinging by not letting it go to clinging. You can stop at clinging and not becoming greedy, becoming angry, becoming jealous. Or becoming soft, or becoming stupid. Right? Holding on to stupid ideas becoming stupid. Right? You see people holding on to these ideas. You can't believe why they hold on to these ideas these days. These conspiracy theories, flat earth theory, all these kind of things. They hold on to it, they like it, they believe it, they become somebody when they hold on to it. That's this feeling, I'm one part of this group. Let's become. So this is understanding that this is what life is about. There is suffering. There is suffering when we hold on to things. And there is a way to stop temporarily this continuous dependently origination. Stop it from feeling towards becoming. When we calm, it is becoming mad actually. Mad with madly love. There is also a path towards the end of suffering. And that path starts with suffering. When we see suffering, and we know the Buddha's teaching, we have to have faith in the Buddha's teaching. It's not just faith. Faith in that the Buddha knows what he's talking about, because he himself had reached the end. So, right? So when we have this faith, we have this joy coming up. Then it goes on. Then it comes to the stage where we have to work. And stage where we have to work is develop samadhi. It's concentration. Samadhi. We have to build up a powerful mind so that we can see things as they are. Seeing the body as it is. Seeing feeling as it is. And when it arises, what they're called. Seeing that they are impermanent. Seeing that they do not have any intrinsic. And it's good feeling of that. Feeling is something you create. Right? Craving when it arises. You have the mindfulness known, right? Through our practice of meditation. As soon as our craving arises, we are aware. We can stop. We can see its causes. So we can see things as they are. This is just thought. This is just view. They are conditioned. They are not sure. Right? We can know our state of consciousness. Whether we are angry, whether we are envious, whether we are jealous, or whether we are attached to something. Right? To fall in love with something, and we start defending somebody because we are attached to that person. Right? It's only with mindfulness, with a powerful mind, that we can wake up. Right? We can be aware of what we are doing. Without that, we cannot see things as they are. When we see things as they are, and the first thing is, of course, to get disgusted with all these things. It's called nibbida. We get disenchanted with all these things. What we believe to be beautiful, now we become disenchanted. What we believe and hold on to as important, we become disenchanted. We have to go through this stage of seeing things as they are, being disenchanted. Only when we become disenchanted with things, then we can become dispassionate. Have to be the thing. We have to see it first, right? And we have to be disgusted before we can let go. Dispassionate doesn't mean you do not have any, you don't have any passion for it. That is, you do not hate it. No, do you have any attachment to it, any love for it? That's being dispassionate. And really dispassionate, underlying this dispassion, you have this four Brahma Viharas. They can arise. Equanimity, equanimously. Or if you see one aspect of suffering, you become compassionate. Or you can have loving goodwill. Right? Or you can have joy in the joy of seeing others. Joy. The four Brahma Viharas. So when you become dispassionate with things, you can let go. That means you're free. Free from the influence of the things that you have created in your own life. free from the world that you have created. No? You see everything as there. And you have this four Brahma Viharas, passion, goodwill, joy and joy of others, and kindness. And that's the best thing you can have, right? And those states are spiritual. They are limitless as well. So when you have that feeling, then you become a harmless person. You no longer do any harm to anybody, not even to yourself. Yeah. Well, that's something that's worth pursuing. And if you pursue it towards the end, there is something that's even better than this. And the Buddha promises us that, it's called it Nibbana. You can put anything you want. But if I have to give a definition for it, I'll say it is something that's amazing. So, limitless amazing. So you will continuously be amazed. Everybody will be amazed. With things in the world, we can be amazed, and after it loses luster. With Nibbana, you never lose its luster. You continuously being amazed. How good is that? Is it worth pursuing? You all have this part of me. Right? You all can do it. Right? Okay, I'm going to end this talk now. A bit longer than I wanted. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Bante, for the very insightful talk. If our participants have questions, please feel free to unmute and ask Bante. Okay.
Thank you, Bante, for the talk. So I have a question. So you said, like, for example, people like philosophers and physicists are attached to views. So, for example, I study mathematics and I want to get a PhD. So how do I like pursue this path without getting overly attached to views or something like that? Thank you.
When there are certain views that you have. That's why I say there are two truths. That's the conventional truth, right? And there is this absolute truth. Where you are a physicist or a chemist or whatever profession you are, you have to hold on to this view. You have to develop this view. You have to use those views, in part of your life. But the thing is that you want to know that these are views that you hold on to live a life as a lay person. That's it. You don't get too attached to it. That's it. It is a view and that is something that you live in your profession. Okay?
Thank you.
When I'm talking about conventional reality and absolute reality, we have to hold on to those two realities. We apply conventional reality when we are dealing with others. We cannot apply absolute reality when we are dealing with other people because they do not understand absolute reality. They haven't been taught about absolute reality, which is the Buddha's teaching. You see, so when we relate with others, we relate in a conventional way, like we have always done before we come to know Buddhism. But we know conventional reality as conventional reality, right? And because we understand absolute reality, we can say we know conventional reality is only true by convention. It's not absolutely true that you have to drive on the left side of the road. Yes. So we do not have to argue when somebody comes up with an idea that this dinner set has to be arranged in this way. This is the right way to arrange the dinner set. So you accept that because that's convention. Even though you have your own idea of how they should arrange it, right? You know, that's your convention. This is their convention. When you go to their place, you follow their convention. Right? When you go to another company, they have their convention. Right? You follow their convention. Right? You don't say, this is the right way to do it. This is the way we do it in our company. You know? Whether it is the structure, the management, right? Or whatever. See, that convention works in that company. Your convention works in your company. So when you move to another company, you don't try to change things because you believe something is going to go to that company, work for 20 years, then probably you know the convention of the company, then you can know the advantages and disadvantages of certain convention. Right? Got to know that. Convention are invented for reasons. You know? And the reason is so that it is harmonious. Right? You all drive on the left side of the road, so it's harmonious. Okay. Any other question? And don't forget, in the monks in the monastery, we have loads and loads of conventions. You know, never mind, you have monastery rules on top of our 227 rules. You know, so we follow. You know, lots of conventions. You know, you can't imagine how much conventions that we have. You know, how many rules. And everything we do, there is a rule. Either monastery rule or a Vinaya rule.
Bhante, I wonder whether Bhante could clarify a bit about the balancing between accepting those conventions and sometimes people can have harmful views. So in this case, how can we help those people or try to correct harmful conventions sometimes?
The first thing is with the convention, there is a limit to what you can accept in a convention. And that limit is when they break the 5 moral precepts. You know, I'm sure you all know what 5 moral precept is. They abstain from killing, abstain from stealing, abstain from sexual misconduct, abstain from false speech, And when I say false preach, it also includes spreading false news, conspiracy news or news, which is not true, that would be included in that, and abstaining from heedlessness through intoxicating drinks. So when any convention brings that, then you don't accept that convention. The thing in the West is that, yes, there's this culture that people consume alcohol. Yes, that's fine, but you consume it, but not to the point where it causes heedlessness. Because when you become heedless, can break any of the other four rules. The way we practice is we do good for others and we do good for ourselves. That's the best person. There are people who say they do good for others, but they don't do good for themselves. There are people who do good for themselves and they don't do good for others. And the worst time is they do bad things for others and bad things to themselves. That's the worst time. So the best is to do good for others and others. And the same thing goes with harm. You don't harm other people, and you don't let other people harm you. Right? Okay? So that's the best. You don't harm other people, or you just don't harm yourself. So you must also make sure that you don't let other people harm. Okay. So when people harm you, you just if you can, you just remove yourself physically, or from the person, or you remove yourself from the situation when that kind of situation arises physically. Right? If you cannot do that, then it is your karma. That you are in that situation. Then you deal with it as best you can without harming the other person. Right? So you want to know when somebody harms you, you got to protect yourself. Right? And then you want to know that when the other person harms you, you know that there is a problem with the other person. You don't have to hate the other person. You have compassion for the other person because they do not know any better. When they harm you, they also harm themselves. So if you are there, that means it is your karma, you accept it and get over it and say, oh, this is one less bad karma, written off. That's it. And don't ponder over it, why and all that. It's waste of time, waste of energy. Just forget it. Simple as that. Yeah. By all means, protect yourself if you can. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Bhante, it's very clear. Thank you very much.
But there's this six Dharma constants, which I hope you all have the opportunity to listen to it. Because they are very important, because it's some through Bhante's practice, and Bhante try to find solutions, to problems people is going to have, or what Bhante has as well, problems Bhante have. Nice little solutions. So those are 6 Dharma coasters are solutions in solving a problem, in reducing suffering, in correcting wrong views. So if you contemplate, this Dharma coasters and then practice it, say not sure of everything, then you will hold on to it. So we're not holding on to anything, you're free. Okay. So have the opportunity, think about it, practice it, and then as you practice it more, you realize, how good it is, that then you have more confidence in it, you continue to practice. Okay. There is another 6 Dharma coasters on the transcendent path, which I'm not going to release either. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years time. When you all have progress, the 6 Dharma coasters, then I release the 6 transcendental path. That's actually going on the path. But this is what you need. Okay. Okay, I think if there's no more questions, I think we can end the session.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for the very insightful and useful talk. That was a very good advice. And for those who haven't seen the Dhamma coasters that Bhante mentioned, we will share it through the Buddhist Society WhatsApp again, so you can have a listen. Thank you very much, Bhante, and thank you everyone who joined us today. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers.
Thank you, Bhante.
Sadhu, sadhu.